Regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission, and I will begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone in the meeting room tonight, please make sure that all cell phones are turned off. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be recorded live and available for viewing by members of the public afterwards on the www.minnehahacounty.org site. In observance of the CDC guidelines for social distancing, tonight's meeting is taking place simultaneously within the County Commission meeting room and virtually within a Zoom meeting room online. In the Zoom meeting room, each individual users on the line will be on mute to maintain communication clarity for everyone. Every item listed on the agenda will be read separately. If any member of the public wishes to be heard on an item, you may raise your hand while I read the item description. If hands are raised, we will follow our normal hearing procedure by requesting planning staff to present a report on each item and request the petitioner to come to the podium and make a statement or answer questions. Anyone from the audience wishing to address the item shall be recognized by planning staff in the order hands were raised and state their name and address for the record. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter and take appropriate action. And also remember, those participating remotely, please watch the following instructions on how to raise your hand in the Zoom program. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on the agenda? Please raise your hand, and if you're attending remotely, you will be unmuted by comment.
Roll call. Roll call vote first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a roll call for the attendance. Jeff Barth.
Aye.
Adam Morehauser.
Present.
Doug Odie. Mike Ralston.
Present.
Becky Randall. Ryan Betterflit.
Here.
Bonnie Duffy. Sorry.
She's trying.
Okay, is there anybody on Zoom for public input?
Becky. Becky Randall, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay. Thanks, Becky. Anybody on mute for public input at all? David?
No hands are raised.
Okay. Anyone in the room? Okay, we'll move on. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 24th Planning Commission meeting. Is there any comments or changes to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion.
Becky, I move approval of the minutes from August 24th.
Adam Morehauser, I'll second that.
Any other further comment? Any questions? Roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Adam Morehauser?
Aye.
Mike Ralston?
Aye.
Becky Randall?
Aye.
Ryan Betterflit?
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. The minutes have been approved. Okay, items number 2 and 4 are conditional use permits, and item number 3 is a rezoning application. Any final action taking on the conditional use permits tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, October 5th at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date, and meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. Okay, I'll first read the description under item number 2. Conditional use permit 20-36 to amend CUP number 1616 to exceed 3,600 square feet of total accessory building area, requesting 5,238 square feet on the property legally described as Tract 4, Peterson's Addition, Northeast Quarter, and Northeast Quarter, Southeast Quarter, Section 26, Township 103 North, Range 49 West. Petitioner is Sam pardon me for my, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Smeffelthing and,
Schimmelpfennig.
okay, thank you very much. They're also the property owners, and they live approximately 5 miles southwest of Baltic. David?
Good evening, Planning Commission. David Heinold, County Planning Department. Conditional use permit 20-36 is to amend an additional or an older conditional use permit 16-16 to allow 5,238 square feet. The petitioner is requesting to construct an additional 12-foot by 63-foot lean-to on what would be the other side of an existing accessory building shown on the, as you can see in the picture here. Petitioner is requesting to add a lean-to closer, or on the road side of the building. As you can see, it'd be roughly similar to that size there, if not the same size. That's the pictures that I have. There are several buildings in the area in accordance with what the petitioner is requesting. Staff is recommending approval of this request to allow the requested size. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for David? It's not at this time. Will the petitioner still state his name and address, please?
Yep, this is Sam Schimmelpfennig. Our address is 25465 477th Avenue, Garrettson, South Dakota 57030.
I have a question for you. You're asking for additional square footage. Is that actually for horses? Is that what your intent is?
It'd be more for general storage. We have a different building for horses, but it's all the various equipment that goes along with it that we'd like to keep out of the elements. So the other part is my hobby as a woodworker, and I've collected a fair bit of wood, actually. So again, just want someplace out of the rain and the snow to store it.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the petitioner? Anybody on Zoom? David?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 2, conditional use permit 20-36. This is Adam Moorhauser.
Mike Rolston will second.
Okay, a motion is made and seconded to approve conditional use permit 20-36. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Adam Moorhauser?
Aye.
Mike Ralston? Becky Randall?
Aye.
Ryan Vanderflut?
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. Conditional use permit 20-36 has been approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item number 3, conditional use permit 20-39 to transfer one building eligibility from the northwest quarter, southwest quarter to the southwest quarter except tract 1A, Schuster's Edition, all in section 32, township 102 north, range 47 west. Petitioner is Tom Schuster. He's the owner, 1.5 miles east of Brandon. Scott?
Thank you. Scott Anderson. This is a conditional use permit, as you just read, to transfer a building eligibility. You indicated the area. In my staff report, I indicated it's 2 miles west of Valley Springs, but it, falls right in the middle there. If you look at the map, there is some existing residential residences to the southwest, and this is directly south of Interstate 90. There's a nice shelter belt, and you can see right where on the map where the word 2 is, there's an existing shelter belt, and they want to move that eligibility from the north to the south side of that shelter belt. And it's appropriate. It's not increasing the density of the area, so we're recommending approval just with the one condition that a right to farm notice be placed on the property when it's platted, And I'd be glad to answer any questions for you. Right now, it's just a field, so there's not really much to look at. But there is a nice shelter belt there, and the applicant lives on that, I think, the semicircle lot to the east.
Any questions for Scott? Is the petitioner here? Yes. Will you please come forward and state your name and address, sir?
My name is Tom Schuster, and I live at 48518 262nd Street, Valley Springs, South Dakota. 15 years ago, I had the idea of planting some trees, shelter belt along the road there to protect anybody in the future of maybe a building site there. So I put some to the north and some to the east. I live right to the east there in that horseshoe grove. And they just hopefully we can have a couple acreages in there, building sites. So,
Madam Chair, can I ask?
Adam?
Say, are you gonna, your eligibilities are gonna be right next to you then, basically?
Yes.
Is that, they're gonna be,
just to the west.
just to the
of me.
west of you, to
Yeah.
the corner there then?
Yep,
Okay.
in the corner, and we'd put the trees in there in anticipation of eventually having something there.
Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Thank you. Is there anybody on Zoom, David?
No hands are raised.
Okay, is there anyone else in the room that cares to address this item? Commissioners?
Madam Chair, this is Mike Ralston. I guess I'd make a motion to approve this. It seems pretty straightforward, and I guess I don't see an issue with it, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Adam Morehauser, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve conditional use permit 20-39. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Adam Morehauser?
Aye.
Mike Ralston?
Aye.
Becky Randall?
Aye.
Brian Vanderflit?
Aye.
Aye. That item has been approved. You're free to go, sir. Thank you. Okay, number 4, conditional use permit 20-40 to make one building eligibility available on the property legally described as Track 2A, Split Rock Estates, Section 35, Township 102 North, Range 48 West. Petitioner is Aaron Hansen. He's also the property owner. It's about a quarter-mile east of Brandon. Scott?
That's correct. This is a conditional use permit to make that one building eligibility available. The applicant is intending to build a house there, and when this property was created and platted, it was not assigned a building eligibility, but was indicated at such time it would be assigned one. Now they are coming in to have the eligibility assigned. As you can see, there are a lot of very nice houses in this subdivision. It's basically everything on the west of Chestnut is, I would say, rolling hills as it drops down into Split Rock Creek, and it's not really agricultural land, very good agricultural land. The area, as you move on the west side of Chestnut, that is agricultural land. So it's sort of a mix. That area is sort of a mix of ag and large estates, I would say. And with that being said, we're recommending approval. We don't see any issues with having a house constructed on this property. And I have pictures if you want to look at it. It's a nice sort of flat lot close to the road, and then it drops down. And the applicant has submitted a site plan showing generally the house and where it'll be located. And we're recommending approval with one condition. Let me look here. Better look. Yes, they need to file a right of farm notice because even though it's in what I would call an estate area, they still may be subject to other agricultural uses in the area. So we're recommending approval with one condition. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
I got one.
Adam?
Can you go back to the previous slide there? I was just wondering, are they all developed, or are they all planning on building houses on all those? Where he's at there, or?
So there's two very massive houses to the west.
Yeah, I can
One
see
sort
that,
of
yeah,
to the
down there.
south
Yep.
and west.
Yep.
And then as you move further to the east, there are some existing homes to the east, right along Chestnut.
But one in between them existing homes, that kind of L-shaped one there, upside down L there, is that developed, or is that?
It's not developed at this
Is it,
time.
can it be developed later on?
Will
then?
be-
It will
it will be
They all will
developed.
be developed in there then, eventually? Okay.
And further to the north, those take access off of Redwood Boulevard, and they are developed. There are houses to the north there.
I guess the only other question was that Chestnut Trail, did it say it was only like 10 foot wide? Is that gonna be an issue or not? They need to have a wider
Well, I
wider
noted,
road or anything like
they
that to
don't,
get to it?
it's paved. It is already paved.
Okay.
So it's like a private access easement just for those lots.
Okay,
So it's
all
not,
right.
it's not maintained by the township.
It's not, okay. They maintain it
Narrow.
themselves then?
They maintain it
Okay, all right
themselves.
then. That's what I was wondering.
It is really narrow, though.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions for Scott?
This is Becky, and I just wanted to let you know that for those of us who are on the Zoom call, the slides are not current with what's being discussed. And I can follow along in my packet. I'm not sure if the other participants are able to see what we're looking at.
I have to agree with Becky. We're still looking at the daycare on Lisa Lane.
I think
that
we're
was
gonna
from the
take care of
joint
it now.
meeting. That looks better.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott? Is the petitioner here?
I don't-
Yes, good evening.
You're on Zoom? Yep. Okay. Aaron, they say that you people that live in this particular development, you pay to have it maintained. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so Chestnut Trail is a township road, but it does have pavements on it, and there's no easy way to turn a road grader around at the end, so it is being privately maintained. There's a property maintenance agreement between myself and one of the other property owners to take care of it, and then, any potential development that would come in, we would probably have to talk about that with them.
Makes good sense. Anyone else have any questions for Aaron? Anybody on Zoom, David?
Just one.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. David Rezak. I'm actually the owner at the end of Chestnut Trail, 401 East Chestnut Trail. I just wanted to also talk a little bit about that Chestnut Trail, the road. I'm not opposed at all to a house being built there or anything. Aaron seems like a great guy, and I look forward to having him as a neighbor. But I am a little concerned about Chestnut Trail. The only house that it serves is my house, and it's been that way, my understanding, for the last 30 years. And so it's a tiny little. It's very, very narrow. You could not fit two cars going down it. If two cars met, you can't fit, period. You can't. It's super narrow. It was designed and built just for this one driveway for this house, and now there's going to be the second house on it, and I'm concerned that there's maybe going to be a third house built in that empty lot that someone was asking about, the L-shaped one, and I don't know how that is going to support that. Even now, if it's about a quarter mile long, so if Aaron and I are going, I'm leaving and he's coming in, I don't know how we get by each other. And it is a public road. It's not owned privately. We do have an agreement that was put in place I just bought the property at the end of the road just this summer in July, and I recognized this was going to be a problem. The previous owner owned both the property I bought, the house, and this lot. He split them up, sold this house, and he sold the lot for development. That's fine, but obviously that introduces now, first time in 20 years, there's more than one person being served by that driveway. And so I did get an agreement in place to try to address how we would deal with this maintenance of a public road. Neither one of us own it. It is owned, I think it's a public right of way, but it's a no maintenance public right of way. So I guess that's a long explanation for my ultimate question, which is just wondering if the county or township or anyone has any plans or thoughts on widening that road or changing that road or doing anything with it, or if it's just, or if we just have to sort that out between us. Honestly, it never even occurred to me until recently. I don't know how we pass by each other on the road. If he's driving down the driveway and I'm driving the other way and we meet an eighth of a mile into this driveway, I don't know what we do besides drive through the grass. And if it's muddy or wet, that's a problem. So I don't know, did the county or township or anyone have any thoughts on that?
Scott, can you address that?
Yes, I can. I can make some comments and some observations, and then I'll toss it back to the Planning Commission for your consideration. So if you look at the, let's see if I can bring up the, no. So if you look in your packet, there is a plat. It says the plat of Split Rock Estates. So tonight's action is on track 2A. And David Resack lives on 2B. So the only legal access that is provided to 2A is on this small road, and I have a picture of it here for you. So on the screen, you can see the road, and it is narrow, but it does have some shoulders to it, so you could feasibly get around someone, provided it's not in the middle of winter and you have 6-foot drifts on each side of that road. So I would encourage the two property owners that use this road to, continue to work together to maintain the road. It is not on the county highway system, so it's not maintained by the county. The other option that they have is they can go to the township and see if they reworked the road and paid to bring it up to the township standard, if the township would take over maintenance of that road. That's an option for them as well. The other lot, which is 1B, and I will point that out. Oops. So the L-shaped lot could take access off of Chestnut Boulevard. So it is available to, when they go to develop that, they could take access, or they could be required to take access off of Chestnut if they can't come to an agreement on allowing them to have access off the Chestnut Trail. So there's some options.
Sir, did he answer some of your questions?
Yeah, and that's good to know that maybe that third lot, maybe as a condition to letting them build, they would have to go out to the boulevard, so we don't have 3 people using that. And I think you answered my question. The county and township don't have any plans, so Aaron and I we'll just have to get it worked out.
Yeah, and I would think that before the township would want to take it over, I mean, there would have to be significant improvements made to that road, which would maybe, impair or would maybe hinder your enjoyment of your property, because you'd have to have a massive cul-de-sac at the end of the road, so emergency vehicles could turn around, and you'd have to widen that road out and have ditches and shoulders, and it would be, it might take away from the character of your beautiful neighborhood.
So B Be careful what you wish for, huh?
Sort of. And it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah, David and I have had some conversation around, maybe adding a segment in the middle that's a little wider so we can pass or something in the winter. So something that we'll have to figure out, I guess. But I do know as well that those two other properties, the L-shaped one and the one north on the corner, are for sale or actually are sale pending. So I would expect developments on those to be coming down the line here as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to comment on this item? Commissioners?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure, Mike.
I guess I understand David's concern with the width of that road, but also understand that it's encouraging that him and Aaron have started a conversation regarding maintenance and how to maybe address that while still utilizing what's in place. Understanding too, the use is probably appropriate at this point, and I think that's probably what we're, in charge with here to make a decision tonight is if that land use is appropriate for a home, and I think that it is. So with that said, I'd make a motion to approve.
Ryan Vandervliet, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and second for conditional use permit 20-40. Any further comment, questions? Roll call vote. Jeff Barth,
Aye.
Adam Morhauser,
Aye.
Mike Ralston,
Aye.
Becky Randall,
Aye.
Ryan Vanderflit,
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. That item has been approved. Thank you. Okay, item number 5. Conditional use permit 20-42 to transfer 2 building eligibilities. 1 building eligibility from the property legally described as Tract 2A, Thyberg Second Edition, Southeast Quarter, Section 4, Township 102 North, Range 51 West, to vacated right-of-way lying adjacent, and Tract 4A, Kelly's Edition, West half, Southeast Quarters, Section 3, Township 102 North, Range 51 West, and 1 building eligibility from property legally described as vacated right-of-way, lying adjacent, and Tract 1, Mikulski's Edition, West half, Section 3, Township 102 North, Range 51 West. Petitioner is Michael Thyberg. He's also the property owner, 2 miles north of Hartford. Kevin?
Kevin Hookman, County Planning Department. The map explains a whole lot easier than the legal description. As you can see that there's a lot of lots in the area and it's subdivided well. The petitioner is requesting to transfer 2 building eligibilities from 2 lots, large lots that are farmed, to 2 smaller lots which have a combination of farm or cropland and ranch land. The area is well developed already. There's a number of houses there. This would meet the comprehensive plan's goal to cluster building eligibilities and to maintain productive agricultural land together in large tracts. Staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit with the requirement that a right to farm notice covenant be placed in the deed prior to issuance of the building permit for all single-family dwellings. And I am here for any questions.
I have one.
Okay.
You're just transferring from one to another, right? In both instances, isn't that from what it was to what it will now be?
Kind of. So they're all connected, interconnected, and the petitioner has several building eligibilities. If you look in the map, you can see, I'll get the mouse. You can see right here, there's this tract here and this tract here. And then they're connected to this tract here and this tract here. And that's why the legal description is so long. But they're all interconnected here through the kind of the river lots here.
Are those, oh, sorry, Marcia.
Go ahead.
The ones along the Skunk Creek there, are those already transferred out of there then, or down that floodplain there?
These ones down
Yeah,
here?
well, yeah, I'm trying to think how that is down through there now.
I'm not sure if, I can't recall if they were transferred or not.
Okay.
I would have to presume so, either that or they're platted prior to the density zoning, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's got to be a dozen houses
There's
there or
quite a few
more.
right in that area there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, any other further questions for Kevin? Anybody on Zoom?
No hands are raised.
Here, will you please come forward and state your name and address?
Michael Thyberg, 256, let's see, now I can't think of my address here. 46277, 256th Street, Hartford. Now on the land down around there. Part of it, there's no one where I have the land down there, rural water's not accessed around there, so it's not a very desirable part on my land where I could purchase this other land, and there's rural waters there for people that want to build a house and stuff like that, and the utilities are there. And some of my eligibilities are kind of down in the floodplain, where if I take them up to the other part, I'm taking away some of my best farm ground.
Anyone have any questions for him? Anybody on Zoom, David?
No hands are raised.
Anyone in the room have any further comments? Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioners? I'll entertain a motion.
This is Jeff. I'll make a motion to approve.
This is Becky Randall, I second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve conditional use permit 20-42. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Adam Morhauser?
Aye.
Mike Ralston?
Aye.
Becky Randall?
Aye.
Ryan Vanderflit?
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. That item has been approved. Thank you. Item number 6, conditional use permit 20-38 to allow rock extraction on the property legally described as the southwest quarter, except lots H-1, H-2, and H-3 contained therein, and except railroad right-of-way contained therein. Section 14, Township 102 North, Range 48 West, and part of the northwest quarter lying north of and adjacent to Tract 2 of Jones Addition, contained therein and lying northwesterly of and adjacent to Lot 1 of Kuhl's Addition, contained therein except Lot H1, contained therein and except railroad right-of-way contained therein, and except the southeastern 33 feet thereof living adjacent to said Lot 1 used for the township road. Section 23, Township 102 North, Range 48 West. The petitioner is Sweetman Construction. They're also the property owner. It's located 1.5 miles north of Brandon. David?
Good evening, David Heinold, County Planning Department. Conditional use permit 20-38 is to allow rock extraction. This property is located just along South Dakota State Highway 11. Just to the east of that, there's an existing railroad there. You can see the property kind of encompasses the area around the railroad. And just north of the Township Road, 259th Street, as you can see, the property is outlined in red on the screen attached. The petitioner is requesting approval to allow rock extraction at about 32 acres in size. This is the site plan that shows the proposed rock extraction quarry. You can kind of see it's kind of like a hashed out area, which is proposed to be kind of like a berm area on the south and west sides of the quarry. You can also see up to the top right of the site plan shows the elevation profile for the quarry. As you can see, that drops down quite significant. Shows the feet on the side there. I think it's about 80 feet. You can see the area in green on the right of the screen. That's proposed to be like an initial like stockpile area for the operation. Then the quarry is to the left in like the kind of sand color. There is an existing tree line on the east side of the property. As you can see, it's kind of outlined in like a light blue color, which runs from the township road all the way north towards there's a stream to the north of the proposed quarry site. The estimated timeline for production of this, for the applicant listed in the narrative, is about 10 years. The narrative states that the soil overlaying the quartzite rock will be used to create the berms that I mentioned. And so if I move forward, this just kind of shows the existing stream network on the property zoomed out. You can see the proposed quarry area is outlined in yellow on this map. So this kind of zooms out far to the east and shows that stream network. This is kind of an area that shows the floodplain area and that the streams in greater detail. As you can see to the south, this runs into what is Split Rock Creek. So these are just intermittent streams that run into the creek. This is some of the applicant provided photos for the site. As you can see, there's a couple bridges there. It shows the two creeks that are north of the proposed quarry site. And then this just shows the rest of the elevation there as well of the site. This just gets into the wetland area or the tributaries for the streams. The south one is located just above the proposed site. It's kind of hard to see on this map. This just shows a zoomed in area of the two streams, giving you a little bit more detail. As you can see the railroad there in the image, and then those bridges that you saw before. The applicant provided a reclamation plan, which is proposed to be an open water area lake. As you can see, the berms are located there as well, and then the tree line off to the east. Staff went out to the property on September 15th and visited the proposed rock extraction site, and just going through some of the pictures that I took. As I mentioned, the tree line off to the right of this image, this is looking towards the northwest. This would be where the stockpile area was, which would also be where the driveway would be roughly located. This is looking south towards the existing, this is one of an older, I think this must be in like an emergency access road into the sand pit to the south, which stretches all the way to the county highway to the east, which was just recently permitted and has been expanding since. It's been in operation for about 20 years. The applicant is currently just using the site for stockpile. There's just some sand, there's some gravel there. This just shows where that proposed pit area would be, looking over the top of that pile. This is the gravel road, 259th Street. This is looking at where the applicant would be crossing the street to get to what would be the haul route to get down to the existing pit to the south. This is just looking back towards the west on that gravel road at the site of where the proposed driveway would be. Again, looking at the pit just gives you an overhead view from into what is now Beans. This is looking along where that east tree line is right now, currently. And then just giving you another image of the sand pit in the background, and the tree line is where that old road was, area there. And then this is looking back towards the state highway. As you can see off in the distance, there's the main operating plant for the existing sand pit. And then I believe I have a couple more photos of the applicant owns a couple of the residences along that are located south of the township road. This is one of the two, and then this is the second one along that gravel road, located immediately to the south. And then this is kind of looking down this goes down towards the highway and the railroad. Significant drop there. It just gives you another vantage point of the proposed pit. And then this is looking back up towards the driveway. As you can see the pile of sand there, or gravel in the background, which is just beyond that would be the driveway. This is one of the pictures of that intermittent stream that flows. So behind me would be Split Rock Creek, and so looking towards the north, you would see the rest of the property there. And as you'd continue along, you'd end up at that bridge for the railroad. This is looking back at the Split Rock Creek and the existing sand pit to the south. The applicant does have roads that intertwine through there, as he mentioned, with the haul route plan is utilizing the existing railroad there and truck routes. And then just a few photos. I took a picture of one of the gravel trucks using that road because that does go out onto the state highway. This is looking at the state highway from 259th Street intersection, and then looking back south across the bridge that goes over Split Rock Creek. And this is just one of the photos that I took that looks back towards the east. As you can see in the background, there's the railroad, and then you can see the bean field, and then you can see the tree line that I mentioned on the east side of what would be the proposed pit. So it just gives you a vantage point of the lay of the land there. Just some of the criteria that I'm going to go through as far as the conditional use permit that the Planning Commission considers is the effect upon the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for uses already permitted and upon property values in the immediate vicinity. The petitioner, as I mentioned, already owns both of the houses that are located within 1,000 feet. There are numerous other acreages, but they fall outside of that 1,000-foot requirement that the zoning ordinance lists. So there are no waivers that are required for this per the zoning ordinance. Based on the analysis of surrounding land uses, the proposed rock extraction operation should not negatively affect the use and enjoyment of existing property or other property values in the immediate vicinity. Number two, the effect upon the normal and orderly development improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area. The surrounding area is primarily agricultural land and residential acreages, and there's some commercial businesses immediate to the south of the gravel road and further south of the Split Rock Creek. And then you have some additional residential there. There should be no effect on the normal and orderly development of surrounding vacant property, which is determinant on the availability of building eligibilities and future municipal annexation or development. As I mentioned, the land to the south has been used for sand mining and continues to expand as was permitted in the last couple of years by the Planning Commission. Three, that utilities, access road, drainage, and or other necessary facilities are provided. The petitioner did supply a hydrology study by a third party that states that the natural drainage follows the existing intermittent stream towards Split Rock Creek and then would eventually lead on to the Big Sioux River. This proposed rock extraction pit will require dewatering, which is released into the natural drainage ways. There are two existing intermittent streams to the north of the mining area, but according to the study, no impacts are expected. Jeff Barth. Jeff? Oh.
Jeff, is that you?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, David.
But no impacts are expected if dewater pumping is maintained below 900 gallons per minute so as to maintain two-year flood discharge below the existing conditions. The section of 259th Street will only be used for emergency access to the proposed mining area. The rock extracted from the pit will only be transported across 259th Street through the existing sand and gravel pit to the south. The material will then be transferred to the existing rail and truck transportation networks. 4, that the off-street parking and loading requirements are met. The applicant has not provided any details regarding the parking or loading, but within the general area, the 32 acres, they should be able to accommodate the amount of trucks and equipment on site for the proposed rock extraction. 5, that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and lighting, inclusive of lighted signs, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. The applicant is incorporating buffer zones along the west and the south sides of the pit area, which would be about a 10-foot tall berm, which is about 7 feet wide, running the length of the street on the south and west sides. And then you have the existing shelter belt. These should help reduce dust, noise, visual impacts from surrounding property owners and just general passers-by. At a minimum, the petitioner should assist with maintenance operations of the township road to ensure safety measures are being met for all road users, with the crossing of 259th Street into the existing sand pit to the south. The use of rail and transportation for majority of the haul route will lessen impacts on the roads, as well as reduce air emissions and related carbon footprint impacts. In addition, there will be material transported trucks via the South Dakota State Highway 11. And number 6, health, safety, and general welfare of the public in the comprehensive plan. The Envision 2035 comprehensive plan, goal number 5, states to recognize that rock, sand, and gravel deposits within the county are a non-renewable natural resource and beneficial to the economy of the county and the welfare of its people. There should be no significant negative harm to the health, safety, and general welfare of the public in the comprehensive plan with the proposed rock extraction site. So Staff finds that the conditional use permit request for a rock extraction site is an appropriate land use for the surrounding area and conforms to the goals and policies of the Envision 2035 comprehensive plan. So staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 20-38 with, for the rock extraction operation with 22 conditions. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for David? Kevin, anybody on Zoom that has any questions for him, do you know?
No, there's nobody on Zoom as of this time with their hands raised.
Okay.
I'm guessing there might be it.
Yeah, okay. We may call you back, David, if we have questions, okay? Yep. Is the petitioner here? Will you please come forward, state your name and address?
My name is Matt Van Dyke. I own Matt's Repair directly across the road. I'm at 25935 492nd Avenue.
Sir, you're not the petitioner, are you?
Go ahead.
You're not, are you the petitioner?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead then. Sorry.
I just have a question.
Petitioner, sir, you'll have to wait for your question, okay? I have called the petitioner forward
Oh, sorry.
to answer any questions. We'll get to you, though.
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Ron Klinker. I'm Knife River's Regional Environmental and Land Development Manager. And there's a contingent of employees here from Concrete Materials to support and answer any questions you might have. I think Mr. Heinold did a great job explaining what we desire to do. We'd like to get at this resource in this location and do so in the most environmentally friendly and least invasive to our neighbors manner as possible. So I guess I really don't have a whole lot to add to what's been said already. I'm happy to answer all questions that are asked of us.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for them at this time? We may ask you to come back to answer some questions, okay?
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, with all the people I see here in the room, are there any proponents? That means that, is there anybody here that supports this? Okay, then we'll start with the other side. One at a time. You'll have to state your name and address and make your comments brief. Madam Chair, do you want to see if there were any Anything out there, David? I'm sorry. Thank you.
No hands are raised.
Okay. Okay, if you want to come forward one at a time, state your name and address, and make your comments short.
I'm just concerned about water.
Can you state your name and address, sir?
Todd Massman, 248, 189, 259th Street, Brandon, just across the highway. My well is 504 feet deep in rock, and the other day when we were in Brandon, it sounds like they would take care of that if we lose our water. And I was just wanting to know if that was really going to happen or not. Otherwise, I guess I don't care about the other part of it. It's just that I don't want to one day wake up and not have any water and cost me $50,000 to get water.
Okay. We'll reserve all your questions so that you can answer them at the end, sir, the petitioner, okay? Will the next person like to come forward and state who they are and where you live, please?
My name is Beth Warden. I live at 26003 482nd Avenue in Corson. The questions that I have, and I did send in some video and pictures of a waterfall that's on the existing property that's adjacent to the railroad tracks and also adjacent to the land for the quarry. The history of the falls is known as Pretty Place. And I wanted Knife River and also Sweetman Construction to be aware that they are now the owners of historical land in Corson. And just briefly, in some historical records from 1988, it was written back in 1950 there was a red rock spring in the area of the Phil Thorson farm north of Corson, where the Corson children would walk to and have a picnic or just a visit and enjoy the prettiness of that area called Pretty Place. And so if the pictures could be shown that I sent in the video, you will see this Pretty Place area, the book excerpt that I just notated. Also, the Rovang family had chuck wagon rides there through the years. They ended at those falls. The adjacent property owners talked about century churches having socials and picnics at that location. And the Johnson family of Corson recently had a wedding on this site. So Knife River now owns part of Corson's history. My concern is what will happen to the wetlands in that area that will feed the Pretty Place Falls, and also what will happen to the stream. I do have a couple of other questions as well. Do I ask those now, or do I wait for answers, or what is the protocol here?
Why don't you ask them now, and then at the end, he can hopefully answer them, or you can come forward again, okay?
Okay. There was an information meeting that they held for the community, and after getting over the glitch of people being aware of the meeting, I really did appreciate it. And honestly, I do think that we can be good neighbors as we just get some things confirmed that were discussed at that information meeting. My understanding is that the number of rail cars and trucks, of course, will depend on the amount of demand for the products from that quarry. At that information meeting, they were estimating about 20 of their own company trucks to be going back and forth from the quarry, and that does not include the companies or customers. So I'm just looking for confirmation of about those 20 trucks and what time period the 20 trucks. Is it per day? Also, the number of trains that would be going back and forth from that area. In that information meeting, it was stated that there would still be just 2 trains, one in, one out each day, and it would be just a longer train from the sand use that's already taking place there from the sand extraction. So I'm looking for that confirmation. Also, having seen bald eagles within a half a mile of the proposed site, and also current owl and hawk nests on that property, and having the National Bald Eagle Management Guidelines, I am curious to know how they'll be able to detect any bald eagles, any nests in that area, what they'll be doing to follow the guidelines from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to ensure that the bald eagle population would be protected, that they'd be following those guidelines regarding the line of sight for the eagles with the nest, and also the blasting, that my understanding they're not able to blast within a half mile of an eagle's nest. So I'm looking for that answer as well. And I just have a couple more here too. The residents of Corson have a Facebook site, and I posed the question last week, does anybody know about this quarry meeting? And I received an overwhelming response from people in the Corson area that they didn't even know this information for the Corson area was going to happen. So we did overcome that, but the question is, can the people of Corson in that area be notified that there is going to be an impending blast, and how will we be notified, and can we opt in to be notified outside of the larger circumference that they used to notify of that information meeting? And the dewatering situation on page 25, at the information meeting, they said that there is a potential in the future that they would be pumping out water, which would then go to the wetlands, which would feed the Falls of Pretty Place. That information is not detailed on page 25 about the dewatering, and I want to have further clarification on that. So my main concerns are protecting the historical significance of the area, potential property values, and also the protection of any wildlife that would be mandated by the government.
Anyone else care to speak? David, anybody on Zoom that you see?
There was one person iPad that had their hand raised, so we can.
Is there someone on Zoom that would care to speak to this item?
Yes, my name is Matt Van Dyke. Address is 25935 482nd Avenue. I have the same concerns that Todd Maskman had about the integrity of my well if the aquifer were to be damaged from this blasting, and I just want to know who would be responsible for getting rural water to my business after that. We got a quote a few years ago to bring in rural water to my business, and it was estimated the cost to be somewhere $30,000 or more.
I will have them address that, sir. Anyone else care to speak to this item? Please state your name and address.
I'm Marion Tim. I live 25861 482nd Avenue, directly west of this site. And you guys have made it sound and very pretty and nice, pleasant with the neighbors of what they do. But in 86 to 89, Meridian Mineral tried to come in there. And I, with a bunch of neighbors, worked with other sites. I went to the one by Rowena, that's straight west of there. I went to the homes, and those people had damaged homes from it, but they were not reimbursed, not fixed for anything like this. They seem to have a fear to talk to the owners of the property. I also went up to St. Cloud, Minnesota with the county commissioners, and we visited with that quarry up there. And the same kind of thing, there was damages done to the people's homes, businesses, but nothing happened from there, got left. What are we gonna do here in this situation? And another thing that had happened just this, like April, whenever we had the last snow, a lady had accidentally gone across our driveway, hit our mailbox, and took out our neighbor's fence for his cattle. And I got the name of the person that did it. And the insurance company was going to reimburse both of us, which they did me because I own the property. But they could not make contact with the owner of that land over there at the time. The farmer rents it. He could not get it reimbursed because it was owned by someone else that wouldn't answer the phone or didn't call back to the insurance company is what happened. So this is not my, I'm not very good about talking on that. But anyway, if we do have problems with our well's 110 feet deep. They said their quarry in Sioux Falls at Sweetman's is 250 feet. there's a good chance that our aquifer could get damaged in this. We know that we sit on the rock where the trains go across over there. We can feel it in our house. So how are we going to make contact with someone that doesn't respond to the insurance company when they needed to contact them and give some money to reimbursement for that damage of that property that was next door? These are items I'd really be interested in finding out. And also, in those years that Meridian Mineral wanted to do the rock quarry, everything was going in their favor until the very end. They got the EPA in there, and the air quality was not meant for the people to live around it. And they don't say that we're close. We're not close enough, obviously, but we are. We're just across the road from them. So I don't understand how it could not be good then and it is okay now. That's items that need to be taken care of.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this item? Anybody else on Zoom, David, that you see?
No hands are raised.
Okay. Petitioner, you want to come forward? Can you answer some of those questions, please? One of you or all of you or whatever?
It may take a contingent of us,
Okay.
Madam Chair. I guess the first issue I'll deal with are the wells. We've had discussion with the DENR Water Rights Commission, the Water Rights Office, and we would be required to get a permit for any dewatering that we would have to do. And so part of that would be their determination, possibly with additional studies, that impacts won't happen. Now, there is some language in state statute and state law about whoever would create that damage would have to take care of it. And when dealing with the Water Rights Commission, they said that upon damage, if somebody would notify them, they would come in and help determine who was at fault. And if it was determined that the damage was due to Sweetman Construction to this project, then it's our responsibility to take care of it, to get them water however it takes. And that's, I mean, you have to do that. We understand that. That's not just us saying that. I believe that's a state law that requires that. So again, that would be taken care of with a permitting process. And as far as damage from, let's see, can I go into damage from blasts? Blasting is I don't know if I'd call it an exact science, but it is a science. You just don't drill a bunch of holes and throw in dynamite and blow things up. There's actual mathematical equations that take into account the closest what they call residence of concern, which would be the closest house to where we're going to be blasting. And with that, they calculate how much explosive can be exploded per 8 millisecond time frame. Because like I said, you just don't throw in a bunch of explosives and make it go boom. It's all timed out in 8 milliseconds. And this is all data and science that's about 100 years old. The Bureau of Mines, which is now OSMRE, the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation and Enforcement, they're the ones who nationally who regulate blasting like this. These are tried and true formulas that we have a professional blasting company that designs the blasts and carries out the blast for us in a safe manner. So each blast is covered with 2 seismographs. And what the seismographs do, we place them next to the 2 closest structures that you call structures to be protected. And based on, as we start blasting, based on those results, you can adjust your blast sizes and timing and how you do the blast to ensure that what they call PPV, which is particle velocity, which is measured by the seismographs in 3 different planes, vertically, laterally, horizontally, to determine that it's below safe levels. And again, there's numerous documentation about these PPVs. So the blasting is very safe, and it's designed to be that way. Anybody else want to say something about blasting? I need to grab a drink of water.
I think I will. My name is Doug Hoy. I live at 3604 South Harmony Drive here in Sioux Falls, and I've worked with concrete materials in Knife River over the years, for many years with the drilling and blasting in the quarries in Sioux Falls, as well as other companies in in the county regarding their drilling and blasting concerns, complaints from residents nearby, be it whether it be right in the middle of a town or out in the rural area. And what I will say from Ron's explanation is the drilling and blasting and explosives portion of this project will be under very close scrutiny, and before even any blasting starts, there will be testing done with individual single holes to see what the characteristics of that wave is. And then Ron mentioned about the 8 millisecond period between explosives. That has been a standard for a long time now with the improved technology of there's actually electronic timings in each of these detonators down the hole. So it is very much a calculated out science, and then it is adjusted from there. But currently there's a lot of places within the county that quarries are within a third to a quarter mile very easily, and we do have good relations with the neighbors. And as far as the complaints or if there's any damage done, the company will be very responsible in responding. And one of the key points of keeping people happy is to have open communication so they know who to call if there are problems, and then somebody can visit with them right away or see what it is and try to correct those problems. We want to know what the problems are because we don't want people being irritated, and we certainly don't want them to feel like they can't call and talk to the company. Now, I can't say what happened back in the 80s or with the Meridian project. We're all aware of that, what happened there. But there are, most of the quarries in this county are located near residents, very close to residences and major quarries. And so those conditions can be taken care of, and people, we definitely work with people to make sure that their concerns are heard. And if there's any damages or alleged damages, we want to know about it, and they will have phone numbers. And typically what's done for blasting time is there's certain times, maybe a certain quarry has a certain time of the day that it has to shoot, and all the people know about it. But all the quarries that I'm aware of in this county pretty much have a call list of people that they call and inform them, either call or text or email. It's whatever form of communication they prefer, and that's probably the best way to let people know when the blasting will take place. Now, they probably will likely feel somewhat of a tremor or vibration. There's been a lot of work going in to minimize that, to figure out how many pounds per delay. And it's even if you have, say, 40 holes in a shot, more than likely, rather than 40 separate charges, you're going to have 80 separate charges, because that hole is going to be broken up into halves to get that pounds per delay going off low enough to where it has a minimal effect, or certainly below the threshold value of damage to any residential structure, any structure nearby. And it's not only structures, it's utilities too. Right in Sioux Falls here, you have a major quarry right in Sioux Falls that has the Magellan pipeline right on the west side of it, within 30 feet of the edge of the quarry. And every time they shoot in the South Quarry, we monitor that and report those readings to Magellan pipelines. And there's a criteria there that they need to be maintained below. And so there are many places where we're shooting within residential structures, as well as, don't forget about utilities. The closest thing I'm aware of is an existing major utility that is blasted around probably twice a week. And so, but the biggest concern would be is we're going to be open. We want, Concrete Materials, Knife River, all the quarries in this neighborhood want to be good neighbors. They're going to have people to call, and if they don't feel calling the people at the quarry, they can call me, and I certainly go out and I talk to a lot of the people around the quarries and discuss if they're having any problems, things like that, and then talk with the quarry owners, and we get it taken care of. I've not once had somebody be denied something that was truly something they deserved, and nor have I found anybody that wants to be closed to any communications of alleged damage or just unhappiness. If you're unhappy, we want to know what it is. We want to be good neighbors. This industry wants to be a good neighbor because we have very good resources in this county, and we're going to be good neighbors. So as far as the blasting and things, that's what I'd like to say, unless anybody else has any questions for me.
I have.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to ask, I'm just thinking, like Dell's up there, they have a specific time that they blast every day. Is that something you guys would want to do so the neighbors would all know that or not?
Yeah,
Is that
Dell
something-
Rapids usually shoots at noon.
Yep,
Yep, the
yeah.
west quarry shoots at noon and the east quarry shoots at noon too. That's one thing, that's one method. And the quarry now in Rowena, since that's changed hands, that's also by chance going to noon also. And so. there'd
Also,
be
I was
one-
just wondering if it make it easier for the neighbors around, they would know, have a certain time
Yeah,
every day.
then they know what time it is. Yep, that's easy. Sometimes that cannot always be observed though due to problems with loading or weather conditions and things like that. And
Understandable, but-
no matter what, even if they do shoot at noon, there's still an announcement or some type of communication that would go out.
Okay.
But, yeah, they typically shoot at noon. Yeah. Now, in Sioux Falls here, that's not always the case. It's when the shot gets loaded and when it's good. It used to be years ago, the Highway Patrol wanted us to shoot at 2 in the afternoon because of the interstate, which is right off the edge of the south hole there, because that theoretically was the slowest time of the traffic during the day. The noon rush hour is done. Everybody's either back home or back to the office. And that way, if there ever was any issues with any rock going on the quarry, they could take care of it. But fortunately, there was not anything significant in that. But you're correct. It's pretty much noon.
Okay.
Can any of you address the items that I think it was Beth had about the truck? And you might have done this at your informational meeting. I'm not sure about the number of trucks that maybe go in and out, about the railroad issues there. Is it a normal timing? Is it sporadic or?
I'm Andy Haas with Concrete Materials. On the truck traffic, that's going to vary on the market demand. So right now, what we're projecting, when we open this quarry up, we'll be taking 20 trucks off of Sioux Falls quarry to the Corson Ready Mix plant. So that will actually come from this new proposed area. It'll be right across the street. So we're minimizing 20 trucks going down the interstate from I-29 or Madison, just quarter mile down the road. The rail, so right now we have two trains going in and out Corson Sand, one in, one out. The rail for this property would be, in the future, it'd probably be about the same. Be one in, one out, maybe a comeback across town to get loaded that night or the next morning to go back in. So I don't see the rail traffic, 3, 4 at the very, very most, but that's down future, in the future, once you put a spur in there. So, but yeah, on the truck traffic, to give an exact number, it's hard to say. I would say 15 to 20 trucks of coming from Sioux Falls quarry out there to the ready mix plant will be off the road.
Okay, any other further comments from you, gentlemen?
To go back to that. To go back to the best question on the notification of the blasting, we can do that. We can send out a mass, like Doug said earlier, mass text, email.
Yep. I think in our region, we have about 4 or 5 existing quarries. Some of them require a phone call, which is a little more difficult now, especially a lot of folks don't have landlines, but we found that either email or text messages are real effective. That way too, we generally try to bracket it to say there'll be a blast between noon and 1 o'clock. And if for some reason we're gonna cancel it, or if it gets, kicked down to 2:30, you can send another email or a text. That's usually the easiest way to get everybody on the same sheet of music. So I guess that's what I would recommend. And for folks outside of, sometimes the notification, they'll say a half mile or a mile. And really, if there are any surrounding neighbors that really want to know, we'll be happy to notify them through the same system. They can just call them. And then as far as people to talk to, when I'm done here, I'll be happy to give out my business card. I'm not here every day, but there are several gentlemen here who I'm sure would be more than happy to hand out business cards so that you can always find an ear to talk to.
To go back to the waterfall underneath the BN track there, that Beth pointed out, that location will not be disturbed. So that's underneath BN's main track coming into Sioux Falls. So that's actually in the BN's right of way, so we can't disturb that anyways. So that will be a permanent fixture on that property still. So our quarry operations won't have any effect to that location there.
And as part of our application too, we had the historical and cultural survey done, which determined that, you know, again, those bridge structures are not on our property, so that's, we can't touch it, it's not ours to do anything with. But certainly everything else in there were no significant cultural or historical items or areas found. As far as the wildlife, eagles and things like that, the area that we're going to be, would propose to use here is basically agricultural field now, so we won't be cutting any trees. We certainly look for things like eagles' nests whenever we open up pits. I'm not aware of any there now. And just to, you know, anecdotally, in several of our other quarries and actually gravel pits, they're actually a very good wildlife attractant. You know, hawks like them. I think they can see the little critters crawling on rocks and dirt better than they can in the grass. So it's actually a great place to bird watch. Yeah, and as far as you know, weddings or visiting this place, I mean, it is private property. We would ask people to, you know, to respect that out of you know, just private property rights, and then also it's we want to limit any liability of anybody crawling around in areas they shouldn't be in getting hurt. Dewatering, we will not impact the wetlands. That's it'll actually go, depending upon how this progresses, the point at which any water will be discharged to the conveyance there may change over time, but it will not impact the wetlands. Anything else you can think of that we missed here, Madam Chair? That oh.
Yep. And going back to Mrs. Tim's deal on that insurance claim, that was taken care of.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, Candy got that handed to
Okay.
you.
Okay.
It went through Knife River, then concrete materials.
And again, she mentioned, you know, the quarry in St. Cloud. We actually operate a quarry in the St. Cloud area, actually very successfully now for 15 years. I mean, a lot of the things that we've spoken about tonight, I mean, we've got a lot of quarry experience in this company and have, I think, very good relationships with our neighbors. So occasionally we do have people, you know, want us to come and look and see if something happened. And we certainly, as Doug said, we're more than happy to look. And but like I said, the blasting, the way blasting is done, it's a very safe method. So.
I'd like to say a couple things about the water wells. Okay. There was a couple, Mr. Van Dyke and I believe Mr. Wassman mentioned about their water wells and their concern for their water wells. In the permit that was submitted to the planning board or planning commission, there is a statement under the hydrology study that acknowledges the hydraulic study that was done as far as the runoff and drainages and things like that. On the very bottom of that page, it also says in there if there are more site-specific conditions or specific areas of interest, that it does allow for you know, site-specific or very specific studies or monitoring being done at those locations. So we're very concerned about their wells, and so there is already language in the permit for that. And the last thing we want is for somebody's well to go dry, and a monitoring well is not something that's unusual. You know, to take care of that and have somebody come over and look at the well if they suspect there is problems. It's not it's not uncommon. I've never had it at a far distance like that, but very close in construction type blasting, you're in along lakes and things like that where everybody's on their own well, where you're only, you know, maybe 50 or 100 feet away from the well. I've heard of wells getting murky before it knocks a little bit of the sediment off and you get a little bit of rusty water. But I know there has been things in the past that I've not been personally involved in that have happened, but it does happen, but the only ones I'm familiar of are at a much closer distance. But that nonetheless, we take their wells very seriously too. So Mr. Van Dyke and Mr. Wassman's wells, I know that they'll be talked to and find out specifically what their concerns are and kept an eye on.
Anybody else have any questions for them? Anybody on Zoom?
No hands are raised.
Okay. You can, if it's brief.
Yep, it is brief. Do I need to just state my name again?
Yeah, you probably should.
Okay, Beth Warden, 26003 482nd Avenue. At the information meeting last week, it was stated that some of the discharge, the dewatering from the quarry, would be going into the wetlands potentially, which would keep the waterfalls known as Pretty Place active year-round, as there are times where it does dry up. I'm just wondering what the discrepancy is between what everyone was told at that information meeting that night about the dewatering, what the discrepancy is between that night and what's being stated here tonight. Thank you.
Can one of you gentlemen address that, please?
I guess I can speak to, I mean, dewatering doesn't happen continuously. It's kind of on an as-needed basis, so I'm not sure. I'll let Andy talk about what was discussed in the meeting.
So,
But it will hit.
so the
it will hit those
dewatering,
falls
yep, it'll hit the
when
falls,
it's dewatered.
but except like this time of year now.
Could you please speak into the mic, sir, because they won't be able to hear?
So, you know, when we do dewater, it's gonna go down to those falls. Like, you know, like this time of year, like we mentioned, they're nice dry. So it's gonna vary year to year on how much water's actually dewater from the quarry down to that discharge point. So like I said, the water discharge will vary on Mother Nature.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Or want to address this? I do think it's important to know that they are conversing with you, people that live there, the fact that they're trying to make this work, but they're also going to be very vigilant about any problems that may or may not occur. Doesn't mean that sometimes that always works, but it goes with whatever happens in the community. I know for a fact because I live just west of Rowena, and I've lived there for 30 years, and I know what the blasting is like there, okay, folks? But we've learned to, what you say, live with it. If you choose to live in a certain location and you love where you live, that's some of the things that you have to abide by, I guess, as it goes. Anyone else care to comment on this item? I'm going to close the floor. Commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Jeff?
Yeah, I just want to say that I've had some communication with Beth Warden outside of this meeting and also with Dan Kipley outside of this meeting. And I can say that it's not influencing my decision, but I wanted to let you know that I have had that some communication there.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
I guess, Madam Chair, I'll start, I guess.
Okay.
I know
Thank you, Adam.
There's a lot of concern, and I think they addressed it. I think I agree with you, Bonnie. I believe that they want to work with the community, neighbors and everything. I do believe that, so I am going to make a motion to approve item number 6, a conditional use permit 20-38.
With the conditions from staff?
Yes, with the conditions from staff. Sorry, Scott.
Ryan Vandervliet, I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion second to approve conditional use permit 20-38 with all the conditions. This is a roll call vote. Jeff Barth? Oh, sorry. Any further discussion? Okay, we do have a roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Adam Morhauser?
Aye.
Mike Ralston?
Aye.
Becky Randall?
Aye.
Ryan Vanderflit?
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. Item number 6 has been approved. Thank you. That, any new business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Jeff Barth?
Aye.
Sir?
Aye.
Mike Ralston?
Aye.
Becky Randall? Aye. Nifflet?
Aye.
Bonnie Duffy, aye. Thank you, everyone.